What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the We Run on Coffee podcast. I'm Erica,
And I'm Marissa.
and we are here today with a very celebratory episode. We're
It's my
celebrating
birthday.
woohoo, Marissa's birthday. So, as this episode comes out, it's about to be Marissa's birthday. I think her birthday's
hmm
on Friday of the week that this
Yeah,
comes
it
out.
is.
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, we have to address the elephant in the room. Marissa's birthday's technically not happening
Oh,
this year
that's true.
because she's a leap day baby. She has an extra
Yay.
special birthday.
I do. Or an extra annoying birthday, however you want to look at
Yeah, depends.
it.
Yeah, depends on the lens that you look at it through. But so yeah, so you celebrate on the 28th and the first, or what? What do you do? I know I've
Um,
asked you this before,
I
but
feel like I celebrate like the whole month.
yeah, I mean,
So,
why not?
yeah, if I don't get a birthday that year, then obviously the whole birth month is for me. But I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. I'm not that
that's
selfish.
so
But
funny.
usually it's
Grief.
just like whenever your birthday is closest to the weekend, you're going to celebrate like that
That weekend
upcoming weekend.
makes
So,
sense.
since the 28th is on a Friday, I think I'm using that as like my
BA
birthday this
weekend.
year because
Yay!
we're going to be doing an escape room for my birthday with a couple of
Fun.
friends.
That's really fun. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Okay, so what are you drinking? And then we can go into our looking aheads because I'm excited to
Yeah.
see what we're looking
Okay.
to.
So I have a polar, which me and Erica just talked about.
Yes,
We both have
we both
polars, but
have
I have
polars.
the cranberry lime
That's
flavor.
so funny. I have the raspberry lime in the fridge and
Oh,
I almost
uh-huh.
grabbed it, but I'm unscrewing mine from my koozie, you guys. My boss at work, she wasn't actually making fun of me, but she was like, "You use a koozie at home?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I drink it slow, to be honest." But
hmm
I have a
Just
lime
lime.
polar. Yes, and I actually really like that one, but what I like even more is the ginger lime and they took it away. Like they don't
Oh,
carry it anymore, at least
hmm.
at Meyer. So
Weird.
that's really sad because I like that one. It's like a ginger beer kind of one. That's my fave. But now I'm
Yeah,
just
I
lime.
actually hate ginger, so.
I hate ginger. Like ginger beer is probably the only thing I haven't I like, and that's pushing it. But I
hmm
hate like I'm never just gonna eat a ginger. And one
Eat a
time,
ginger.
eat a ginger. Wait, I didn't realize that
Please.
sounded so weird. I didn't realize. My siblings are gingers. We were at Hot Pot for my birthday, and I was eating my hot pot, and I put potato slices in there, and I ate one. I was like, this potato is rancid. Like something's wrong with it. And everyone looked at me, and they were like, Erica, that was ginger. And I was like, no wonder it's so disgusting. It was a sliver of ginger that they just automatically put in the soup.
Uh-huh.
Anyways,
Uh-uh.
tangent. But all that to say, yeah, I hear you on that. What,
hmm
though, are you looking forward to? I'm excited to get into this.
Okay, so I was talking with Erica and Lauren before we've recorded our last episode, if you listened
Yeah.
last week, about my therapy journey. And I know I talked about
Yeah.
it in like the first episode of like the year or whatever. And actually, I have an amendment to my word of the year. I've figured out what I
Mm.
want it to be,
Wait, I'm
and
excited.
it's not whatever I was trying to say in that
Okay.
episode because I remember when I listened back to it, I was like, what the fuck am I saying? But I want my word of the year to be peace.
I love that.
I feel
Oh,
like that's a better one, and I feel
that
like it
feels
still
right.
gives the vibes,
It
and
does.
like I think it's better.
Yeah, because it kind of like you were talking a little bit about healing and stuff like that, and that kind of leads to peace almost. So
Yeah,
it's
and
like
like
that's the outcome.
I meant mentally healing, I meant
Right.
staying healed, and I
Yeah.
also meant like physically, which peace
Yeah.
doesn't really get the physical aspect of it, but I will be at peace if I'm not hurting. So I guess it
Yes.
does matter.
No, I really like that. I'm so glad. Sometimes you guys, you just have to wait for the word to come to you. It's just like
Yeah.
that.
And I feel like I was thinking about it like every time I'm driving recently, I've been trying to like
Yeah.
think about it and stuff. And like it keeps coming to my mind. And I'm like, okay, peace is like the word that like keeps coming up. So I like
Yeah.
that one.
Oh,
But
love it.
anyways, that's not what you asked me. But that
No,
was
I love it.
my that was my amendment.
Yeah.
But I was talking about my therapy journey and stuff. And me and my therapist, we didn't click. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of the things that I was trying to talk through or I was trying to get help with,
Right.
she seemed that it maybe wasn't her specialty, or maybe she
hmm
was maybe a little bit more like hesitant to help with.
Yeah.
So I actually talked with a couple of coworkers that I'm pretty close with, and one of them literally sat me down and begged me to reach out to her therapy office.
Oh, wow.
And she told me that she loves her therapist. She recommended her roommate there. She found a therapist that's different from hers, but at the same
Right.
office that she also loves. So
Love
I have
that.
my first appointment with my new therapist on Wednesday
Is this
this
in
week.
person?
No,
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, that's a big switch. Is it the same app though, or you're doing something different now?
it's a different, it's like a
Okay.
entirely different practice. So it's not
Okay.
gonna be the one I was using previously was a benefit that Kyle got through his like health insurance through
Oh,
work.
okay.
So it was actually a free program that I was able to do.
Yeah.
And it was through the app Lyra.
Right.
And I'm not sure if the app is like catered towards people that need health, like mental health care
Hmm.
for work because when I worked at Starbucks, Lyra was also our partner. So
Okay.
I think that it's something that specifically works with
Hmm.
big companies to
Yeah.
provide that mental health care,
Right.
which makes me think it might be less personalized a bit.
Hmm.
That's sort of what it felt like when I was meeting with my therapist. We had 3 appointments and she didn't seem to remember things that I brought up in previous
Mm.
appointments. She would
Yeah.
ask me questions. She wasn't giving me a bunch of therapy skills. And right now I'm in a place where I think I need therapy skills.
Yeah.
Wasn't really able to give them to me. And she wasn't able to help me deal with like the tough conversations I wanted to have with her.
Right.
So it just didn't feel like it was a great fit. And it could have
Yeah.
just been our personalities not meshing. And
Yeah.
I felt like I want to be completely honest and I'm not scared to be completely honest. But I
Hmm.
feel like sometimes she didn't ask me the questions that was able to get me to be
Right.
completely honest.
Right. No, that all makes sense. I feel like that
But
it's kind of the same thing when I had my first therapist that I didn't like is I think her specialties lied elsewhere. And I really
Mhm.
think that's what it was. It was also a personality thing. I mean, she was like significantly older than me. And one, my
Mhm.
new therapist is like in my same age range too, which I like. So
Yeah,
there's so many
that's
things
how
that it could
mine is
be.
too. She was older,
Yeah.
she was a parent,
Yeah.
and I feel like while that doesn't necessarily mean we're completely
Right.
incompatible, the one I'm going to now, I actually had to fill out a waiver saying that I'm okay dealing with somebody that's newly licensed and their
Hmm.
supervisors would have to go through her notes and stuff,
Yeah.
which I'm okay with. You're never going to learn unless you get your first client. But
Yeah.
I'm also not her first client. She said that she used to deal with mostly adolescents, but she's
Oh.
like breaking through in the adult space now too. So I
Oh,
was like, okay,
interesting.
that's
That's
pretty
cool.
cool.
I bet she has a lot of good transferable skills then, honestly. Like that's a really
Yeah.
cool transition.
Yeah, and I feel like not saying that I'm childlike, but I'm saying like because she dealt with adolescents, they're probably a little bit harder to break through with.
Yeah.
And because it's like my first experience into therapy, I might be
Yeah.
like her adolescent skills might be helpful because I've never been in this
Right.
like I've never been in a therapy space too. So
Hmm.
not that I'm acting childish, it's just like
No,
I
that makes
have the same
sense.
skills as or like I have the same appearance as somebody that is an adolescent going to
Right.
therapy first
Like
time.
very new to this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I'm excited for that. I don't really think I have
Yay.
anything else on my list.
Yeah.
In the next couple weeks before we record next, we also have
Hmm.
Valentine's Day, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure what our plans are yet. So I will
Yeah.
have to wait and see.
Me either. We don't really have plans. I put on my looking ahead Valentine's Day as well. Also Galentine's Day. I'm
Mm.
doing a Galentine's party. I don't know if I talked about this on the pod yet, but my work is doing a little like every month they do it's called Culture Club and we do different things. It used to be called like the lunch table or something, but now it's not lunch focused. So now it's just called Culture Club and we do a bunch of different fun stuff. It's like a team building little Zoom. And this month's Culture Club is we're going to do charcuterie board class together. So they're sending us all a gift card to get charcuterie supplies. And then one of our coworkers, she's leading the class. She's going to teach us how to make like the salami rose and all the different like
Aw.
fun little charcuterie things. And yeah, and then you just have a charcuterie and it's on Valentine's Day. So I was like, who am I going to get to eat this $40 charcuterie? Like, it's like big charcuterie. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I'll have a Valentine's party. So
Yeah.
first time doing like, I don't know, a bigger Valentine's. I mean, obviously we had Valentine's together last year, I think,
Yeah.
but I invited Taylor, two of Taylor's friends that I also know and really love, Tirsa and Aaliyah. And then I invited Vernita and Lauren and Amelia. So it's going to be bigger.
Aw.
And we're going to do charcuterie. We're going to do heart-shaped homemade pizzas with my homemade dough and sauce, which we'll see how that goes because I'm going to have to make a lot of them. And then we're going to do chocolate. Oh, Cheyenne too, because Cheyenne's bringing chocolate covered strawberries, just
Mm.
everything. So I think that will be cute. Yes.
I actually just saw a drink that I'm going to recommend you for your
Ooh,
Valentine's Day. It was in our little
yes.
break in between recordings.
Yeah.
It was raspberry sorbet with pink champagne. So I know last year we did
Ooh,
something
yeah. We
similar,
did similar, yeah.
but do pink champagne with it instead.
Okay. Yeah, and I have my Ninja Creamy now, so I wonder if I should
Hmm.
whip up a little homemade. Actually, my friend Cheyenne's bringing homemade something with her, either sorbet or ice cream, so I'll have to ask her. It's a good idea.
Tell her to make it raspberry flavored so you can have a cute little
Yeah.
pink drink.
Pink drink. I love that. I know, and I've been on my amaretto sours bullshit recently, like way too much, which we were talking about.
I'm
But
so glad you love them though, because I
I
remember when I
do.
introduced them to
Yes.
you.
Yes. And then the first time I like actually drank one, like not just heard of it, but drank one was at my cousin Pam's, her husband Scotty. That's like his signature drink that he makes
Hmm.
everybody. And I don't know if it's standard or if it's the same as everyone else's recipe or not, but he also likes to add a blood orange. That's like his little signature favorite thing, blood orange slice. And oh my God, it's just so good. I love it. So now we've been addicted to them. Can't
Yeah, now
stop.
I think that I have to make an Ambrose sour
I
today.
know. We're definitely
Too.
having them tonight. Also, am I looking ahead before Galentine's, got ahead of myself, is first of all, my first walk with no boot. I'm so excited. So, in the last
Yay!
episode, I was talking about no boot. I've only been out of my boot for a little over 24 hours, but so far, not even a lick, not even a questionable like feeling, like just completely
Good.
normal. Like, I was telling Angela, I haven't even had a moment where I stepped and I was like, did that hurt? Like, no question. It does not hurt. It's so normal. I'm so happy. And I'm going on my first walk with Vernita, AJ, and Angelo. I think Angelo's only going to let me do 1 mile because he's like, please do not injure yourself again. Like, let's start slow. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
fine. So 1 mile, no weight for Arika. Everyone else is going to do weight, but we're getting started on our ruck training. So I'm hype. I'm
Yay!
so excited. I never thought I'd be so excited to say, like, I want to carry the backpack. I want to carry weight. I was like, who thought that would be
Hmm.
me after I was
I
like, I'm
know.
not going to carry anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's coming up. And then also before next time, this is a busy time in our lives. Angela's birthday is coming up too.
Hmm.
Angela's on the 10th, February 10th. So as you guys are listening to this, it's over, but we're doing birthday dinner. We're doing, like gifts, dessert, that kind of thing at our house after. And also, final thing that I'm really excited and looking forward to is you guys, our next episode will be a guest interview, our first video guest interview
Hmm.
and first guest interview of the year. So, you guys, if you didn't check out the episode with Lauren, we did a period menstrual cycle episode. Lauren's like a recurring guest. So, we did like, I don't know how to explain it. We did her episode as a theme, not an interview.
Hmm.
But we're going to bring you guys someone new and we're going to be doing an interview. So, I'm so excited. And we have
Yay!
so much to come. So, that's what I'm looking forward to. I honestly had a lot this week.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah, but today's topic is all about Marissa. So, I'm going to let her introduce. I'm really excited about this. I think this is like such a fun concept.
Yeah, so if you have been here for years and you understand what we
Yeah,
do for our
years. I cannot
birthdays,
believe you can say that now.
we typically go
Years.
through in like whatever age we're turning, we try
Yeah.
and like think of lessons or we try and think of things that have happened in the last year.
Yeah.
And I was getting a little tired of it. And I
Yeah.
also really didn't want to think of 25
Yeah.
things that
We're getting
happened to
a
me.
little older. It's like, it's a
I
lot of
can't think
things.
of that many things. Like, imagine when
Yeah.
we turn
It's
30,
too
I'm never
much.
going to be able to think of
No,
30 things.
no, that's too many things.
So I found an article online on
Yes.
lifehack.org and it's called 25 Things You Must Do in Your 20s So You Won't Regret It Later. And I was like, well, let's see if we're quote unquote on track
Right.
for our 20s and see what we've done. And I feel like this is a good, while you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, and while I've been thinking about this recently, that no matter
Yeah.
what age you are, you might be at a different life stage than either people in your age group or people
Yep.
ahead of you or behind you. And I think that it's interesting to see like what this article says should have happened in your 20s. And it
Hmm.
also kind of gives us something to strive for in the next year or so, or even in the next 4 or 5 years of us being in
Right.
our 20s. I think it'll be really fun to try and see like, oh, how many have we done and how many do
Yeah.
we still have to do?
It's so
So
fun.
I found this document and just see if there's anything else that we can do before we turn 30.
Yay. Oh my God. You saying 30 so much is like stressing me out. I'm like,
I'm
wait,
so
oh my
excited
God.
to be 30. I
Yeah, it
don't
is.
know.
It's an
I'm
exciting
not
time. I've
scared.
I've heard a lot of people say that going into their 30s, it's like their best era yet, and it's like really when you start to let go of any insecurity you've ever had, even if you feel like you don't have a lot. I've heard a lot of people say 30s is where you really embrace yourself, just generally. Like it's kind of a
Mhm.
natural thing that comes. So that's kind of cool. But no, it's just crazy because I feel inside like I'm like 22. It's just
Mhm.
so crazy. But
Mhm.
all right, I guess let's dive in the 25 things we must do. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I'm gonna list off the thing and I'm gonna give us both the opportunity to say if we've done it or like kind of reflect on it and see what we have to say about it.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a little like blurb that the article said about each thing too.
Hmm.
So the first one is to do something scary. It says jump out of a
Yes.
plane, dive in a shark tank, zip line through the rainforest, anything that you deem scary. So,
Yeah.
Erica, what have you done that is
Okay.
scary?
So I read Marissa's answer before I started, and I couldn't really think of something super physically scary that like goes in line with the question. I said I have rode all the roller coasters at Cedar Point. Maybe that's something scary. I mean, that did scare me. I was scared of roller coasters for a long
Uh-huh.
time. But I kind of went a little deep on this one on accident, and I said cutting ties with family is something scary that I had to do in my 20s, and it's consistently hard. And that is something scary I've done in my 20s, if that counts towards this question. So that's what I
Yeah,
came up
I think
with.
I think it definitely does.
It's definitely scary.
I have been skydiving, so that was my first
Yes.
gut reaction, but
Yeah.
I think I would also have to say that starting therapy has been
Yeah.
very scary
Yeah.
because I did do therapy as a kid, and that's a whole story for another time that I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
really talk about,
Yeah.
but I have been scared to do it since because it was not a good situation that I
Okay.
was doing therapy for when I was a
Yeah.
kid. And I was like, well, I don't remember doing that. Like, it was so young. I was
Yeah.
so scared that I was like, well, I can't do that again. That's
Yeah.
terrifying. And now I've finally taken the jump to
It's
like
kind
get
of
started.
funny, like they talk about using therapy for trauma, but I've never really heard anyone talk about trauma from therapy as much. So that's actually really interesting and
Yeah.
maybe something interesting to dive into.
Yeah, and like I definitely want to get more into those things, but I need to go
Right.
through the therapy first
Yeah.
before I bring it to an episode
Yeah.
topic.
For sure. No, that's just an interesting like thing to think about.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that I have trauma from therapy. It's like
Right.
maybe I still have trauma from the situation that I had to go to therapy
Right.
for
Right.
that is like, well, I don't want to have to talk about it again. So
Ugh,
why
that's
would
how
I
I
go to
always feel at
therapy?
therapy. I'm like, I don't want to talk about these problems, but here I
Yep.
am. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is learn to cook. Definitely a completely different direction than jumping out of
Yeah.
a plane, but it says being at the mercy of takeout is expensive for your wallet and your waistline. So you might be blessed with a fast metabolism now, but trust me, it won't last. Also, you'll be able to wow future dates with delicious home cooked
Oh.
meals or friends or family.
I
So
was laughing at how this whole article was written. I mean, I didn't read the article, but just the pieces you pulled in, some of them are so silly. I'm like laughing when I read it. I'm like, what is the person saying?
I think it's
But I like
definitely
it.
geared towards a
It's
single
funny.
person,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I don't think that it matters if you're single or
No.
not, but can still do these things in your 20s. So
Yeah.
I thought for this one, we both obviously cook. We've talked about it in other
Yeah.
episodes. So I thought it'd be interesting to share some of our favorite recipes.
Yeah, so Marissa prompted me with that. So I just included some of my recent favorites because I can't even think of all time. But I've been getting into newer recipes recently. So homemade pizza is always top of my list. We have a homemade dough and a homemade sauce, and I've been working on perfecting it over the years. I feel like it just gets better every time we make it, which is kind of fun. And then my other recent favorite recipe is this creamy chicken sausage orzo skillet. Like I found this
I
online and
love
it's
orzo.
so good. I never had orzo before. This is like my first time. And I was like, I don't even know what orzo is. I'm like, oh, it's just pasta that looks like rice. It's delicious. And
Hmm.
it's so, oh my God, this is like my favorite. It's like a warm, like home feeling recipe. I don't know. It's so good. And then I included two drinks because I'm like, why not? Teddy
Hmm.
Graham iced breve. I made this on the last
Which is what you
episode.
had.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the last episode, you need to because I did a live demo of making a Teddy Graham iced breve, and I highly recommend it. It's my favorite. And then amaretto sour. So that's right on theme. I didn't even remember I wrote that, but that's just a drink I've been loving recently. And Marissa like brought that as one of her favorites, like literally years ago, probably. And then I hadn't tried it for a while. That was my first introduction of hearing about it. I finally tried it at my cousin's, but then it was like, this is a special thing when we go to Pam and Scotty's. Like, we didn't know how to make them
Mm.
ourselves still, or we never looked it up. We're just like, oh, it's a special thing. This last time we went for New Year's, Angela learned how to make it. And now it's like, we can't stop. We should have never learned, but it's so good.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
My recipes are an unstuffed pepper casserole. I kind of came up with this one
Oh,
on my own. I know a lot
yeah.
of people like make these, but I
Yeah.
like the way I make mine and I kind of
Of
change it up every
course.
time. And
Yeah.
then we also do these buffalo chicken bowls that I found
I
on a
remember
blog on
you. Yeah.
Instagram.
I remember you telling me about that and saying that it was pretty good. So, love. Those
They're
are good
really good
recipes.
and I actually got them to cook this week. So
Hey, love it. Delish.
Um, the next one is travel alone. The world is meant to be explored. Taking an adventure by yourself will help you grow your perspective. Plus, you'll get to do all the stuff you want to do without a complaint. So, what is
Yeah.
your thoughts about this one, Erica?
Okay, so I was just writing about. So actually, do you want to go first? Because I kind of copied after you. If
Sure.
you go
Yeah.
first.
So I've flown alone before. I went to Georgia to visit a friend in Ohio many times once I moved here to go visit like Kyle, friends, family. But I don't know if I'd be comfy these days traveling alone. I
Right.
would do a hike adventure alone if that counts. But in general, which we'll get into on the next one, I am terrified of flying. So I don't know if I'd be able to do it alone because the
Yeah.
last time I flew, like I was even with Kyle, but we were separated in our seats. I cried. So I don't know if that's
Mm,
something in the cards for me.
yeah. I a couple of these answers I like based mine off Marissa, so I'll tell you to go first sometimes because I'm like I don't
Okay.
want to steal your thunder of your answer, but I did say that I also have taken many flights by myself and travels alone. So like I've flown to and from like Florida, Connecticut, South Carolina, New York, etc. alone, and it's always to go to something though with a group of people. I'd never stay there alone. And then I've also done some train rides, as Marissa knows. I took some from her house, and
Mm-hmm.
even subwaying and like commuting to work alone in New York City, which is really interesting. So that was fun. But I've never done a full solo trip, so just the traveling part. I said I wouldn't knock it without trying it because I've heard it's really good for the soul kind of thing. But I really genuinely love traveling with Angelo and traveling with family, so I like never feel inclined to go out and do
Mm-hmm.
that. And then there is the safety element that Marissa brought up too. So I just feel like I don't know. I'm here or there. I don't know. It's hard to
Yeah,
say.
I also feel like it might sound crazy hearing me say that I would do a hiking adventure alone because like
Yeah,
that's me in the middle of the
it's
woods all by
bold.
myself. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm confident enough in myself
Yeah,
to do it. While I know that doesn't matter because you would have to be so trusting in others to do
right.
that, but
That's the
I
hard
think
part.
I would do it during the day. I think I would have a hard
Yeah.
time doing like an alone camping trip, but I would definitely do like a day trip on my own.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know. I don't know. It's just like one of those things that I hear only good things about it. I swear, I only ever hear good things about it, but I still don't have the urge to do it. I'm kind of like
hmm
I feel okay. I'm good.
I agree.
Yeah.
The next one kind of goes along with this one, and it is ride a plane. So it said those trees and buildings that seem so big when you're at ground level, they look like specks of dust while you're in the clouds. Don't get caught up in the inconveniences of flying. Enjoy the view because it's beautiful and it really puts things into perspective. So I feel like this is
Love
one where I have to go
this.
first
Yeah, you go
because
first.
I hate flying in general. It gives me a fear. I also really want to like I want to be okay with it, but also
Yeah.
full transparency, we're recording this right after two planes just
Yes.
crashed and there was horrible accidents and that doesn't make me feel very safe now,
Yeah.
especially because I know that like we don't know the cause of these crashes. They could be flukes, but we don't know right now and it makes me very nervous. And I just don't like flying in general because I don't know
Yeah.
how it works. And Erica and Angelo, I was at their house one day and I was trying to talk to Angelo about it. He tried to make me feel better, but I don't like it still.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that is part of my answer too. And yes, it makes sense for me to go after Marissa because I put, strangely enough, I love flying, which I think is a generally, I don't think people are like, oh, I love flying. And I think some people are scared and some people are just like, it's something you have to do. But I feel
hmm
like the I love flying maybe is a less popular thing. But I don't know, just something about it I love. I said sometimes the whole idea of it can be scary to me. And I definitely do have those feelings of like, we're just in the air. Like, that's fucking weird. Like, I don't get it.
hmm
But I said for me, like, luckily with Angelo being in the aircraft like profession, he rationalizes a lot of my fears and they do make me feel better, which I really am happy about. And I feel especially safe when I fly with Angelo because I know that he, I believe that he could fly a plane if he had to. It wasn't ever his job. He's not a pilot, but I do feel like he has a really, really good understanding of all the processes and systems. So, like, he makes me feel better just being with him, whether or not that really matters, I don't know. But, um, I also put that growing up, I never flew anywhere for the most part. Like, I think one or two times in my childhood, but I was not like, the families that are like, oh, we're going to like whatever every single year they're on
Yeah,
vacation. It's like,
I
what?
never flew either, so maybe
Yeah.
that's where it comes from.
Yeah. I never flew a lot. So, even if we went to Florida, like we drive all the way to Florida from literally Lake Erie, like the top of the US. It's just so crazy. We just drive everywhere. I feel like it's such an Ohioan thing or such a like small town thing is just to drive everywhere. So
hmm
now though I feel like flying to me is something so now that it's something I can afford or something I get to do a lot, I do feel really grateful and surreal about it. And I think obviously that's because I don't have the fear. So I love traveling and I love just when you start going down the runway so fast, that moment to me is like I feel so like grateful. I don't know. I literally just get overwhelmed. And I said a little secret that I have, which is funny that you said you cry. I also cry. And this is my like guilty secret. I cry every time we take off because I'm grateful. And it sounds so stupid, but I really do. Like, I cry and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to do this. And I like try to hide it because I look so ridiculous. And it's not a fear, it's like a happiness. But there's just something about it that I like. I don't know. I can't really
I
explain it.
think I don't know. I just like you saying you love zooming down the runway. That is the part where I literally I on your Apple Watch, if you have an Apple Watch
Oh,
or you're an
yeah.
Apple Watch wearer, it tells you if your heart rate goes
Yeah.
above 120 for more than 10 minutes when you're not working out.
Yeah.
Almost every time I fly, I get
Oh,
that
yeah.
notification because I have like a visceral reaction to being so scared and
Yeah.
nervous. And the last time I flew, I literally had a panic attack and I cried half the flight. Like
Oh, I
I
hate that
hate
though.
it. I
Yeah.
can't do it. I also think that it probably has something to do with my control issues of me not being in control because I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know what's going on and
You're
I
just at
can't
mercy of
fix
the
it.
flight. Yeah, like there's nothing you can do about anything.
Yeah. And when me and Kyle sit next to each other, like anytime there's a bump, like not even turbulence, but the slightest bump, I literally tense up, my whole body tenses up and I like
Yeah.
squeeze his hand and I can't breathe when it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared of things like that.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not a
I mean, you
scared
jumped out of a
person.
plane. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm not a person that like lives in fear, which I feel like the
Right.
way that I'm describing this sounds that I live in fear, but
No.
I
That's your
can't do
fear.
it.
That's like your one fear. Yeah. I will say the other thing that's like a little bit hard for me with the flying is if I can tell that Angelo senses something abnormal, then I really start to freak out because I do
Mhm.
trust him so much and I do know that he knows so much. So like he'll usually wait till we land to tell me like that noise wasn't normal or that thing wasn't normal. But I'm like, oh my God, when I can tell that he's acting a little weird, I'm like, oh, something's really wrong. And I get really scared. And that's when I get worked up and panicky. So I try to
Yeah.
just ignore him respectfully during all flights. But yeah, anyways, let's get off
Okay.
the not happy topic.
I know. The next one
This,
is
you go
party all
first on this
night.
one. Yeah.
It says a consistent sleep schedule is your best bet for energy to carry you through the day, but who's to say you can't break the rules on occasion? Go to a club, concert, or bar with your friends, have a blast until the place shuts down, and then go to an all-night diner for coffee and conversations. Memories are made up of things like late nights with the people you care about most. So I've definitely done this. I've had late nights. I have
Yeah.
a really hard time now because I've gotten into a really good habit of getting good sleep that
Yeah. I feel you.
getting I don't like sacrificing my good sleep, and I understand that I might be missing out on memories for it, which
Right.
oftentimes gives me like a sense of guilt. Like a couple weeks
Mm,
ago, my friends were going out to a bar to watch a football game together
yeah.
after my friend's birthday, and I was like, "Oh, this would be great. Like that's so much fun." And I did end up going, but I woke up and I was really tired the next day, and I was like it almost makes me feel guilty for not getting sleep, but also guilty for not
Yeah.
spending the time with my friends. But I don't think I could party all night, like obviously. Like I think I'm too
Yeah.
old for that, but I do think I need to find a balance of maybe sacrificing that sleep a couple of days because it
Yeah.
the memories are not something that you should be missing out on.
Yeah, I just wrote ditto to Marissa for this question because I completely agree. And Marissa said, she wrote, I think I'm too old for this now, haha.
I
And
did.
I wrote ditto because I also agree. It's no longer my like, I wrote main vibe, which is a weird thing to say, but it's just like, I don't know, it's not my thing anymore. But I feel like on occasion, yeah, you're exactly right. And something I've been talking about, you guys, that I'm looking forward to is my friend Cheyenne's birthday party. And this is kind of like our little, we literally called it a revival on the like invitation because it's a little bit of a Western theme. But I think it's over now, so I'll share with you guys after. But anyway, it's just interesting because I'm like, okay, this is like our little revival. It's like our one fun time. We're probably gonna stay up late, like, and I'm just kind of getting used to that fact. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, we're gonna stay up late this day. We're not gonna have rules. Like, we're just gonna do it because it's good and fun for the good for the
Hmm.
soul, if you will.
Yes.
But definitely not my main vibe anymore. And I don't even think I could hang anymore. Like, there's no way.
Hmm.
So yeah,
The next one is take a risk. So, aiming to achieve an audacious goal does carry a risk, but inaction guarantees regret. So, what's it gonna be?
love it. I had a harder time with this one a little bit because I feel like I'm not a risky person. And I was just
Hmm.
like, it's kind of really hard to think of something. I wrote, to me, going to college and buying a house generally are some of my really huge achievements that I think about a lot. And those felt like a risk in the moment. And I just wrote that, like, my mom, she's never gotten a college degree or she's never bought a house or done those things. And so she could only help me so much in that process because she's never done it. She didn't have
Hmm.
experience. So I wrote that I really rely on my mom for a lot of life advice. Like everything I do that's like a big deal, I ask her about. So for those things, I really had to be kind of on my own. And I think that's what felt risky, even though I feel like they were educated decisions and I was in a good place to make them. They weren't complete risks. It felt
Hmm.
risky and scary because I was like, oh, I'm kind of in this alone. Like Angela and I have to do this for ourselves. Same with buying a car from a dealership. My mom's done that. And so I called her and I got her advice and stuff. But I was like, I live 2 hours away and I have to do this myself. Like it's just a little
Hmm.
feels risky, it feels scary, and they're financial decisions. So those are the biggest ones I thought of.
Yeah, I feel like mine was that I moved to a new state after college with
Yeah.
no friends and I moved alone. So
Ugh,
that was definitely
so
scary and a
risky.
risk because if I didn't pass my training and I got fired from my job, or if I didn't make
Yeah.
friends, or if I wasn't good at my job, That could have been a
Yeah.
really big risk.
Scary.
The next one says, enlighten yourself. While other people are buried in their smartphones, you should bury yourself in books that will educate and inspire you. Seek enlightenment, and you'll be light years ahead of the competition.
Yeah, I love this, first of all. Love this thing, but I have been implementing a new thing every week at family dinner with Angela's siblings. When everyone walks in the door, I make them turn their phones into a bin, and I call it the phone bucket, and everyone has to put their phones in there, and then I put the lid on it and I lock it up. And then we just have 3 hours to have dinner and hang out, and like no one's on their phone. And it's actually insane just how much we're mindlessly scrolling and mindlessly online in general. And I'm trying to get rid of that in 2025 for my own personal life. Like that's one of my main goals. I'm like, we're kicking that habit because even when we're all with family and we're all in the same room, but we have our phones, I will put my phone down and I'll look around and I'm like, there's no one to talk to, right? Because everyone else is on their phone. It's just hard. So I also said now that I'm out of my boot, I'm also really excited to get back more into fitness and get into fitness more than I ever was before because I'm just excited and motivated. And then another thing that's really interesting is that I'm kind of back with my toes in the water, exploring like religion and just different things like that. So we've been going to Angelo's childhood church recently, and he's really, really loving that experience. And so I've been tagging along. Just, I don't know, I feel like I'm still learning, still figuring things out, figuring out what I believe. But I feel like all these things together are working toward what this author is calling like enlightenment in life or whatever. And so I have a lot of little steps on this journey that I'm
Yeah.
working on. It's in
I
progress.
agree. I think that it talks a lot about like being on your phones and stuff, which is obviously because like we're in the 21st
Right.
century, we have a lot of technology and stuff. And I think I am pretty good at prioritizing no phone time, but I
Yeah.
could be better
Yeah.
because I definitely do spend time. I've been really trying to avoid phone time in bed because oftentimes
Mm.
it keeps me stuck there.
Angela's been doing
So
that too.
I am trying to go to sleep without being on my phone. Like I get in
Yeah.
bed, I turn off my phone, and I'm not a bed person these days.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I am never in my bed unless it's time for sleep. Like I don't go in there and I don't watch
That's
TV. We
good.
don't even have a bed, like a TV in our bedroom.
Yeah.
So if we're like watching stuff like that or we're hanging out together, we're doing it on the couch, which is really helpful. But I
Yeah.
do oftentimes get in bed and scroll, and I'll do it in the morning, which oftentimes makes me run behind. So
Me
I'm trying to
too.
get a lot better about that.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that like is helping me work towards enlightenment is the therapy that I'm starting, but I still need to
Yeah.
work on this one, obviously.
Yeah. I feel like that's always going to be a work in progress. I feel like you don't ever hit one point where you're like, okay, everything in my life's rolling perfect. Like,
Yeah,
probably not.
yeah.
So that makes sense.
The next one is play a sport. So, what was your favorite sport when you were a kid? Invite some friends out to a park for a game of basketball, dodgeball, foursquare, hopscotch, or ultimate frisbee. If it's a hit, make it a weekly event. If you're feeling brave, spread the word in your community and build a league or a tournament.
This one's so cute. I love it. So Marissa was prompting all my little questions that she had an answer for, and she was like, "Dance!" Exclamation point. I'm like, "Yes, that was my first thought too." I put that getting back into dance in my adult life has been refreshing because I absolutely love it, but also kind of very healing in a way
Mhm.
because it's like nostalgic and it's something that I grew up doing. And a lot of times, I know I brought one of my friends that I used to dance with in high school moved to Columbus. I'm like, you should come to my studio. And she came with me and she was like so kind of baffled and just like not used to the fact that like people were nice to us. And I was like,
Mm.
that's actually really interesting because I don't feel like I have dance trauma. But if you've ever seen the show Dance Moms, like some of that's very TV, but some of it's also like really real as far as like getting yelled at or you have to be told to eat certain things or look a certain way with your body and it can be really damaging. So I feel like my friend had an experience where she was like, wait, I'm not used to like everyone was just accepting like however you danced is how you danced because at this studio like it's all about how you feel, it's not about looking perfect. And so I feel like it's healing in that way too. And then also, I said I can now add rucking and running to my repertoire. I can't even speak. Uh,
Repertoire.
my repertoire. I can add, yeah, rucking and running to my repertoire of sports. I'm not really a traditional sports person, as we know. Like, any of these sports on the list above, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would hate to do those just because I don't know. There's something about it. Even like we've gotten together as a family, like at Thanksgiving, we played volleyball and football. And in general, Angela's family, they all kind of like volleyball. So there's been moments where we're like at a park and everyone's playing volleyball. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude and I'm not boring and you guys take your time, but like it's just not for me. I'm like
Yeah.
I'd rather just watch. So, those are my unconventional sports in a way.
Yeah, I've done so many sports since I
Yeah.
moved out here. Like we found these like community club teams and stuff. So I've done volleyball, softball, I'm rock climbing. Like that's something I've been
Yes.
doing for a little bit over a year now. So I feel like even just being active, but in a different way. So, like how you do
Yeah.
dance to be active, it's different, like going out and doing a sport versus just going to the gym and lifting weights.
Right. You have such a diverse like group of I'm even thinking like you do the cycling and the running and I'm like you
Oh,
have
that's
such a
true.
diverse like portfolio of active, which I love because I
It's
feel like
because I
it's nice to
like
have variety.
everything.
Yeah. No, it's good. And I was actually just thinking, I don't know if anyone told you this yet, but it reminds me of you and Kyle. Vernita and Lauren joined a volleyball like team, like a rec league
Oh,
kind of thing, just like you
yeah.
guys did. And I was like, oh my God, I love it. And they've been having like so much fun with it. So that's
Oh,
fun.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
The next one is change the script. So, if you live in your hometown, odds are you've been around the same people for a very long time now. Your actions are in part determined by the people who you surround yourself with. Take an extended vacation to a new town or a country where you don't know anybody. Expect to discover a lot about yourself when you're out of your stomping grounds.
This is another one I love. And actually, this is kind of a fun list because I think it's sparking conversations that we haven't had yet, really.
Hmm.
So I wrote, this is funny because it's something I've been thinking a lot about. And I wrote in my late 20s. I
Oh,
know I'm
stop.
only
You're
now
barely
in my late
26.
20s, but I've only been thinking about this recently. So I was like, I guess it's
I
fitting.
think you're still in your mid 20s. You
Yeah,
need to chill out.
that could be true. I wrote, when I was younger, I had such a strong like distaste for my small town. And it's something I talk about a lot. I was just like, not obsessed with it. I was really passionate about moving to the big city. I'm like, I have to get out of here. I hate my town. And I felt like the small town was holding me back. And I think it was to an extent. And I was like, I'm ready. I want to be a small fish in a big pond. I want to be a new person. I want to be whoever I want to be. And I wanted to learn new things and have a ton of experiences, which I feel like I did. But also, writing this was crazy. I've lived in a big city for going on 8 years, which I feel like is crazy to picture because I'm like, oh my God, I'm still 8 years old. What? Um, and I've been able to travel all over the country and even to other countries, and I still find myself yearning for the small town charm that I once had. I can't even say it. It like pains me to say because I was always so against it. But I just it's funny because I swore I was like I'd never be a small town girl again. I'm not for that life. And now I've recently just started appreciating like the values and the lifestyle that the small town gave me, and I kind of find myself like wanting that for my kids someday, which is probably why the natural cycle is like people tend to go back home, and that's definitely not where I'm at. I do not want my town that I came from. I don't even want something that similar size, but I'm starting to realize like maybe I'm not this big of a city girl and maybe I'm not even a suburb girl. Maybe I'm like on the outskirts of a big city, more in the country kind of vibe. I don't know. We're just getting into these things. So I just think it's kind of ironic. It's just like I'll never do this and then you grow up and you're like maybe I do want
Yeah.
that and it's okay.
I think it's really interesting because I took this in a completely different direction because
Yeah.
I also grew up like that. Like
Yeah.
I guess I never had a distaste for my town. It's just I
Yeah.
knew that it was a small town and I
Yeah.
needed to get out.
Mhm.
And when I went to college, from the time that I was 16 to the time that I turned 19, I went through probably a 180 of my
Yeah.
personality. Like I
Wow.
learned so much in college and I changed so much and
Mhm.
it's just like I don't think I could ever go back to being the person that I was. Like I wasn't a caring
Yeah.
person, like I wasn't an open-minded person,
Yeah.
which is a lot of things that you hear about people that grow up in small towns is that you
Yeah. It's true.
oftentimes need to get out to expand your horizons.
Yep.
And that's what I did, and I'm glad that I moved out of state because I am the only person in my family that I
Yeah.
know that moved out of state and
Yeah.
started a life somewhere else, and it makes me so proud that I was able to do that. And I don't think
Yeah.
that I could ever go back because I'm proud of being the one that quote unquote got
Mhm.
out.
Yeah. Oh, this episode's so emo. I kind of
I
love it.
know.
Actually, that's funny you say that too because it reminded me that the when I started even like thinking about this in my brain was actually at Little Caden's football game in the town you grew up in, and Angelo and I were looking around and like people were really nice, and it was just a different. It is a little bit of a different feeling than even what we're used to like out in the suburbs. And Angelo was like, "This is what I want like for our kids, like this kind of community because it's a strong community and a lot of the people are just really nice and kind and kind of like." I don't know, like home, like I don't know, homey. I don't know how to explain it, but that's where we started thinking about it. And the more I got into it, I was like, wait, I kind of agree. And I do think like I had to go to the city first. I had to,
Yeah.
because I also feel like I became a new person in college, and I was like honestly closed-minded and also like not very nice. Like I was kind of mean in high school, like not super mean to others, but just in general, I had a bad attitude of life. And I just think the city gave me such a perspective, but
Hmm.
now I'm like, oh, I love that small town feel though. So it's a weird battle in my head recently.
Yeah, I also think that it depends on where you see your life going. Like you talk
Yeah.
about this is the life that you want for your kids, and I
Yep.
don't want kids.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah. And I want a farm and I want a homestead.
yeah.
So that kind of tracks.
Yeah, and so like being somebody that like wants to
Yeah.
like start a family, I understand the quality of having a small town like
Right.
feel or being in a small town for a family because you feel safe
You do.
and
Yeah. That's a big part of it
it's
too.
it like you have a community. I don't need a community because I
Yeah.
don't want kids and I don't
Yeah.
need a community to take care of my family for me. If it's just me and like having Kyle and
Like a
myself, like
partner.
we can be
Yeah.
pretty self-sustaining, especially like in a
It's
big
true.
city.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And the safety is a big thing too. Yeah, I feel like, and I think about schools, like, where do I want to send my kids to school? Like in the inner city or like in a suburb or in a small community, like, or at home, homeschool. Like, there's just so much to think about. So
Hmm.
I'm gearing up for the later part of my life. It's just interesting.
Yeah. The next one says reunite with an old friend. Think about the school days. Are there any best friends who you haven't seen in many years? Call them up and plan a trip together because you have a lot of catching up to do.
First of all, think this is so cute. Second of all, really want to do a friend trip. I've never done something like that, and I've always felt
Mm-hmm.
like I like didn't have enough friends to do it with, but I'm like, how fun would it be to like get a group together and go to like Utah and have like a lodge or just somewhere cool and just have a big group together? I'd really like to do that. So if any friends want to travel with me, hit me up. But aside from that, I wrote on here, rekindling my friendship with Cheyenne. She was my very best friend all through college. We were like this on the video. I'm crossing my fingers. We were like this. We were so best friends, and we kind of like fell out of sync after college. I like graduated, got my job. She graduated. She did different things, got her job. She like started doing grad school, and I feel like we just disconnected slowly, and then it just turned into like we're not talking. It was kind of one of those things where it's just like it fades almost.
Hmm.
Not for any like it's not like we had a fight. It's not like that, but it wasn't until we fell back into similar stages of life as each other that we reconnected. So now she's in a serious relationship. She dates someone from military, so like actually one of Angela's friends who we know and really like. And so it's like we have a very similar parallel like path right now, so I feel like we connect a lot better because I've been dating Angela forever, but I feel like I've always been in this more like serious relationship, buying a house, doing that kind of stuff, and I feel like Cheyenne was more fun than me, to be honest. Like she's like, I want to go out, I want to meet people, I want to do this and that, and so we just like didn't want to do the same things. We didn't even want to hang out the same type of ways. So now she's kind of in my boat where she's like, you know what, I'm kind of slowing down, like I don't want to party as much. I'm kind of thinking about buying a house. And so now we have a lot to talk about, it feels like. So, not justifying any of it, but just saying, like, that's how we got here. But I'm really grateful for this because I was like, I wrote on here, I was like, this is so emo, but I feel like she really gets me. She's like one of my few friends that I feel like really understands me. She really knows way too much about me. And I feel like she just, I don't know, she understands me on a deeper level. And we can just have so much funny times together because we spent our worst years together in a way, like our craziest, weirdest times. Like, we were going through some of our Snapchat like videos and pictures of each other the other day, and they were just like psychotic. And I'm like, wait, I love that we can look back on this and like really know we were both there. Like we know. So that's been fun.
Yeah. I haven't done this one yet, so I didn't
Yeah.
have anything. I have fallen out of like friendships or
Yeah.
relationships with people, but I haven't reunited with any of them. I feel like I do have some similar situations where like similar to Erica where you just kind of fall out of contact. It's not like there's
Yeah.
one like pain point that makes you stop the relationship,
Yeah.
but I feel like I've ended relationships because we're fundamentally different people. So I feel like
Yeah.
it would be hard for me to like kind of find my way back into those relationships. There are
Yeah.
people like I don't talk to anybody from high school anymore. So like if I
Same.
were to like I could rekindle with those people, but I guess I don't feel like drawn to do it right now.
Yeah, I do have a couple too. Like that story's not my all my stories. That's honestly kind of the only one that worked out in a way.
Hmm.
But I do have some people too that are friends from high school and that sadly like fizzled out in the same way, but they don't want to reconnect. And I think that's a different end of the spectrum, I guess, that we don't talk about a lot, which is I feel like I've reached out to them and I've tried to talk to them again and I've been like, hey, we should like get together when I'm in town. And I have tried like one or two times and I can tell like they're trying to be nice, but like don't want to hang out. And that's totally justified and allowed, but it is hard because I'm like, what did I do? And maybe I didn't
Hmm.
do anything, but it's definitely a hard thing to face because it's like, I don't know, it's just almost one sided in a way. It's like, wait, I want to continue this and the other person doesn't. So it's just hard to get on the same page sometimes. So a lot of times friendships don't reconnect. And I think that makes sense because people always say, like, it's for a season or a reason or whatever, that
Yeah.
like little saying. And I think it's true.
Next we have the drop the I'm busy farce. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're accomplishing anything. Just take an honest look at how you spend your day and eliminate anything beyond the essentials. And no, obsessively checking your inbox or Facebook feed isn't essential.
Facts. I said ditto to an answer I gave above. I'm trying to get off my phone so hard. I wrote that in all caps. I'm trying to get off my phone so hard. I know you guys are tired of hearing about it. I don't care. It's just what it is. I said in the short amount of time that I've been choosing alternative activities to Instagram Reels, because that is my time suck, Instagram Reels. But in the short amount of time that I've been choosing something else, like for example, I've been doing some handmade birthday cards for people instead of getting on my phone. Or if I think about getting on my phone, I'm like, how about we clean up instead? Or how about we learn a guitar riff instead? I feel like I've already seen really good improvement in my quality of life and how I feel after the activity. So I'm just trying to work on that. And I feel like that's a big time suck of like, I'm not doing anything. Like sometimes it's fun, but like for a lot, I'll sit there for 2 hours and I didn't do anything. It doesn't make me feel good. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I'm working on dropping the I'm busy farce, if you will.
Yeah, I feel like I took this in a different direction. I'm
Yeah.
bad at this because I will say no to plans just because I don't want to leave my house. And maybe that's
Oh,
something to
I've
do
done
with
that.
me. Maybe that's
Yes.
just something to do with me, like being comfortable in my own like
Yep.
area.
Oh, I
And
feel that.
I don't think of it as like necessarily being on my phone because like I don't spend too much time on my phone. I do
Yeah.
sometimes and I like doing alternative activities like Erica is saying, but
Mm-hmm.
I think of it more like get out of the house and make plans every weekend, live in your
Yeah.
new city, learn everything. And I feel like me and Kyle have been really bad at that because we are at the core homebodies.
Yeah.
And we've lived here for almost 2 years now. And like, I'm still hearing of restaurants in our own town that I've never heard of and never been to. And that's
So
really
true.
frustrating and sad to me because I want to explore our town and I want to feel like this is home. And while I feel like our apartment is home because we spend a lot of time here, I don't know everything about the city and I need to stop
Yeah.
saying, well, I'm busy or I need to do this or I need to do this and I need to go out there and explore.
I do the same thing. So just sames to that.
Next, we have pay off your debt. Frugal living might not be sexy, but there is nothing fun about
Yes, it
drowning in
is.
debt. Begin by reducing your debts and carry the lowest balances or highest interest rates. Reduce frequent and unneeded costs like restaurant meals. Learn to cook and drinks at a bar. Take it home. There is nothing wrong with the occasional indulgence, but financial freedom requires making sacrifices, and it's so worth it.
Facts. Yesterday, I paid off a student loan, so I only have one left out of six,
Yay.
and my student loans will be officially paid off, completely said and done in 5 months. So I'm very
Woo.
excited. Woohoo! So I was excited about that, and then after that, I'll just have my mortgage and my car, and those are like, I guess, pretty standard loans that people have.
Yeah.
So that's exciting to get that done.
Yeah, I paid off our couch, this lovely little guy
Woohoo!
behind me, but I still have my student loans, which I think the last time that I checked, which my student loans are affected by the save plan being taken
Yeah,
away. So I don't really know what my payment is going to look like, which right now is good for me because my student loans are in forbearance and
yeah,
am not using that as a time to default on my loans. I have been
right.
paying
Yeah.
and my student loans have been in default for probably 6 months or something. Like they've
Mm-hmm.
been in forbearance and I haven't been getting interest. So I have seen a difference in the amount that I'm paying off. But the last time I checked, I think that I would be paid off by 2032, which is still a
Wow.
really long way away, but it's definitely not as long as it takes some people to pay
Yeah.
them off.
No, it takes some people a long time. I'm really grateful about that because I'm like, I've heard of a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm 40, I'm still paying off my loans. And I think that's pretty common. So I was like, I'm feeling really good and really proud of that.
Yeah. Well, it'll take me a little bit longer to pay them off. I'm hoping that when they figure out, they've expected that I won't get interest on my loans at all this year because
Yeah.
they are giving the Supreme Court until September, I believe, to get new payment plans out to everybody. And
Hmm.
then that will give me, they have like 2 months to distribute them. So I should know by December what my new payment plan should be.
Wow.
I know. Next, we have get to know your family. It is amazing how little we can know about a person despite how long we have known them. Find out about your parents and find out how your parents and your grandparents met. Ask older family members to explain what life was like when they were your age. Explore your family history and make an honest effort to really understand what makes them tick.
Okay, this one is so hard because my family's a very, at least like my mom, we're very non-emotional. We're very like no mushy gushy. Like we don't talk about stuff. We don't really do this. So that's been hard. But I've also said that I've been digging more into this through the years. So I became increasingly interested in my family history over the past few years because I feel like generally I lack a sense of culture. And you guys will get what I mean, but like Angelo's Italian and he's also German, but I feel like he has Oma, which is a German name for a grandmother, and she's German. And I'm like, she cooks awesome German food. And like, even though it's not all they do, it's something they do. And then he was also Italian, and his Italian side is very Italian. And I'm like, wow, you have all these traditions and customs. Like, I went to an Italian wedding with him, and they had the certain dances that they do. And I was like,
Mm.
this is so cool. And in that way, I feel like I don't have something like that. And I was like, what even am I? Like, I don't even know my ancestry or anything. And so much of it's unknown. So, I know a little bit from a DNA test I did, like those popular ones. But my mom's parents have both passed, and there isn't any connections I can make on my dad's side. So it's been a struggle for me to like understand. All I know is like I'm British, I guess, and German,
Mhm.
which is cool, but there's no like traditions or cultural things in that way. So that's something that I don't know, interested in figuring out. But another thing I wrote that I thought was really cute and really cool is that Angela's kind of a big catalyst in learning about my family history. So recently we stayed at my cousin Pam's like last year, and Angela stayed behind. This is a common theme in my family in general. Angelo will stay at the house with kids or whatever, with whoever. He'll watch the kids or whatever, and we'll all go shopping because he hates shopping. So recently we did that, and when we came back, Angelo was telling me like he learned how my Aunt Mona and my Uncle Chuck met and how they fell in love, which is Pam's parents, my grandma's sister and her husband. And I never knew this story. Like it was all new to me. And I was like, wait, that's so adorable. How'd you figure that out? And he's like, well, we just started talking. And I was like, wait, it's so weird because when you're born into the family, you kind of sometimes don't even think to ask the questions.
Mm.
So I said, I love that him coming in and meeting new people has like made us learn more about everybody's stories. It's kind of cool. But I want to do
Yeah.
more of it.
I think he's also a genuinely inquisitive person. Like
He
I've been
is.
asked
He's
some
so
of
good at
the
it.
not crazy questions, but like I've been asked
Yeah.
some of the off the wall questions from Angela, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, it's like it's really endearing like how he wants to know so much
Yeah.
about people,
It's
and
true.
I'm not very good at that. I'm not very
Same.
good at
And I feel
asking.
bad because I do care and like I would want to know, but I don't think to come up with it that way.
Yeah, and he'll ask like not even just the like how did you meet question. Like he's like, "Well, what was your first date and where did you go and what food did you eat?" Like he
Yeah.
knows all the questions to ask,
Yeah, he's
and
good at
I'm
it.
really bad at even just asking the first one.
Right. I agree.
But I am excited to like maybe learn more about like my parents' story. Like I know a bit
Yeah.
of it, but I'm just genuinely not close with my extended family. Like
Yeah.
my parents and I are really the only ones that like interact with each other. Like I'm not close with aunts and uncles. I haven't
Yeah.
seen them in almost 10 years at this point. Like
Yeah.
just not having a super close family is really difficult to try and explore those avenues because
Right.
never been close and we've kind of drifted apart even more as I've gotten older. But
Yeah.
I am excited to learn with like Kyle's family and stuff
Yeah.
because like even though I've been a part of the family for like 10 years, I'm still learning about like even Kyle and then his siblings and stuff and learning their stories.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was thinking about this as we were going through the way that Angelo's kind of been a catalyst for that for my family. I'm like, wait, I could be the same thing. Like asking Aunt Diane, like, what your story is. I feel like sometimes I hear things about Aunt Diane that I'm like, what? Like she had her horses and the way she grew up and her old house. And I just like, wow, it's kind of like every person has their own lore and we just have to dig in and like find
Hmm.
it. Just treat everyone like Punxsutawney Phil and be desperate to learn more about them.
That's so funny. Next, we have Reread the Classics, and it says, I don't know about you, but I didn't fully grasp how wonderful classic books like The Grapes of Wrath of really were in high school. Pick a few titles that come to mind and be amazed by the things you missed. So I kind of said, like, I would like to read some of them. I've never
Yeah.
really read them in high school because I didn't really do too many classes, like English classes in high school. But I did read To Kill a Mockingbird, which I would like to reread like as an adult with not assignments attached because I do think I
Right.
genuinely liked learning the story of that book. But I thought we could share just like a couple other ones that we wanted. So I
Yeah.
said I'd like to read Sherlock Holmes. I feel like that'd be a really cool old
That is.
classic book to read. And then I don't know if these count, but Agatha Christie novels, they're all like thriller novels or
Okay.
like crime novels, and she has so many. And I think it'd be really interesting to read hers. I feel like
Yeah.
1984 is a big one that a lot of people say that you need to read, and I would definitely be willing to look for a couple more.
Yeah, I like this one. It really made me think because I couldn't think of anything at first. When I think of a classic book, I think boring, I think hard to get through, I think a pain,
Hmm.
but I was sorely mistaken because I remember, first of all, reading The Outsiders. Did you read that? I don't know. That just came to
Mm-mm.
mind, but that's like Stay Golden, Pony Boy. Like that one came to mind because that's something I read in high school that I actually liked. And I think that's the first time that a school reading was like actually fun. which
Hmm.
is definitely a turning point in school. But in high school, I took college level English courses at Bowling Green, actually, because that was my best school subject. So I was like, oh, that's the easiest thing for me to move on and take. So I remember I was reading like Beowulf and Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet, and a lot of like classic Celtic books and novels, which is really weird for a high schooler. I feel like now looking back, I'm like, I was reading the most random things. So I feel like I did have the classic readings. I don't even remember all the other ones, but in more recent years, I one that stuck with me is I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, and that was like amazing. I was like, wait, I it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be a drag. Like this was actually an amazing book, an amazing story, and I really loved it. So I feel like I need to be more open-minded about the old books kind of thing.
Yeah, and I also think that you should think about what would be considered a classic novel that was written today. Like, I
Yeah,
feel like being somebody that likes spooky and thriller and horror novels and
right.
stuff, like I feel like
That makes
Stephen King
sense.
is going to be a quick classic once
Oh,
his
yeah.
book gets to like 100 years old. Like,
Yep.
just because it's old doesn't mean it's a bad book because we have people that are becoming classics today. They just
Right.
haven't become classic
They're not
because they're
yet.
aged.
Yeah. So true.
Next we have go overseas. It's a big world out there. Get out of your bubble of your home culture and grow your perspective. So
Yeah.
you can share where you've been.
Yeah, so I wrote like just in the last year, you guys know I've traveled to the Dominican Republic, Bahamas, and Turks and Caicos because I went on a cruise. So that was like a little international adventure. But I also always remember going to Mexico for Christmas when I was younger, and I feel like I really got to experience the culture, which I always remember and like think about. Like we got to go to like a traditional like Mexican midnight mass Catholic service on Christmas night, and I remember that being like well, first of all, I slept on the pews in my pajamas. I remember that. But
Uh-oh.
I was like a really little kid. I think I was, I don't know. I say really little, but probably like nine-ish or maybe a little younger, seven. I don't know. But I feel like it was interesting to see that and just, I don't know, the way that they celebrate Christmas, like they leave their shoes out for St. Nicholas instead of, how we do Christmas Eve and just a lot of different cultural things I got to learn on that trip, which is
Mhm.
cool, especially being a kid. And that's the only time I was ever international before this past year. So, yeah.
Yeah. I've only been to Italy, Greece, and Malta, but I would definitely like to explore some more.
Same, same.
We have volunteer for a cause. Complaining about the world's problems will not make them go away. Choose a cause that connects you with them and be a part of the solution.
Yeah, I wrote these all really made me think. First of all, I was having a hard time filling this out because I was like, they're not at the top of my mind, but if I dig, there's things in there. So
Hmm.
I wrote that I volunteered a lot throughout the years, just of my life, like serving food. We used to go to like inner city Cleveland with my youth group and give out Christmas gifts to kids that don't get any gifts. Like this was our only Christmas. So we would get a budget and then we would get to shop within the budget, wrap the gifts, bring them, and then actually hand them out to the kids who would come to the church. So it was really, really cool. Organizing donations, like I did Cradles to Crayons in Philly and Volunteers of America, just all these kind of different things I've done. But I'm really interested in getting more involved this year. And in recent years, I was actually thinking like, especially around the holidays is a time where I'm like, instead of like doing so many gifts and getting so caught up in it, I'd really like to just volunteer and kind of give back to other people during the holiday season because it is really a season of giving. And so I've been thinking about that a lot. So I'd like to get more into volunteering and donating as I get more financially stable. I feel like that just feels like the right thing to do sometimes, especially for causes that I think are really important. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to really volunteer yet, so I'm looking forward to like opportunities in the coming
Yeah.
years.
I think it'd be a fun, like, I don't know if I'm the only one being like this crazy, but I think it's a fun thing to do with family. Like to be able to take our whole family, like we play a family football game. It's like you can see how many of us there are. We could do so much good in like handing out meals or like even just organizing for people or doing things that are our skills. I just think that'd be a fun thing to do and rally a team almost.
Next, we have cut the clutter. Our responsibilities tend to grow as we age, so you need to cut out some things so you have more time for what really makes you happy. The toxic people that you can't stand to hang out with, time wasting distractions, and stuff you never use all need to go.
I wrote, I love a good purge. I think I could be good at this when I have to be. I said I'm consistently cleaning out junk from our house, like physically, that isn't in need or a useful item. I always have a donation bin in my basement where I throw crap, which always makes me feel good because I like keeping clutter low. But I've also made tough decisions, like not necessarily with physical items, but I also have made tough decisions like to cut ties with people, like ex friends, like I'm talking about. Like sometimes there's ex friends that I can think of that were like actually really, really bad for me or like actually really didn't treat me well. And those are the like hard decisions you have to make to cut that off. Family members too. So that was and continues to be extremely hard because I feel like you have to make that decision over and over. It's like, okay, I'm not going to see my family again this year. Like that's really hard to make those decisions. But I feel like I've really been learning to prioritize myself and my own mental health, which is always a continuing journey. So yeah.
That's where peace comes in. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
I love
constantly
that.
on a journey with like cutting the clutter. Like I'm pretty good at like keeping my material possessions low and like
Right.
only having what I need. I mean, obviously we all have a little bit of excess of something,
Yeah.
but like you were saying, like cutting relationships with people, I
It's
feel like
hard.
I one thing that I keep going back to, and I've like been saying this for like the last 2 years, it's
Yeah.
like protect your own peace. And I feel
Yes.
like sometimes that's very hard to do, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to sometimes.
Yep. So true.
Next, you have fall in love. Love does hurt sometimes, but so does loneliness. You've learned a lot about what you desire in a partner by now, so don't be afraid to open yourself up to another person. Look at it like a roller coaster. Yes, it is scary, but are you going to ride it anywhere? And I said yes, but you can always love more friends and fall more in love with yourself and your partner.
Beautifully said. I wrote ditto. I was like, I
Yay.
can't write anything better. That's like the perfect answer. I love it. And I agree.
Next, we have write a letter, ask an old friend for their address, don't tell them why you need it, and send them a thoughtful handwritten letter. It'll be an awesome surprise among the usual bills and junk, and maybe you'll end up with a new pen pal.
That's adorable. I wrote that I love this. I was mentioning earlier I like doing handmade cards. It's like my new thing. I've always been like a birthday card person, but I'm trying to get into the handmade cards because it's something for me to do that's not on my phone, honestly, and where I can be creative. But I love the idea of a letter. I've always been better at expressing myself through writing versus talking. Like I really feel that way. So I feel like
Hmm.
I could really connect with people that way, and I might challenge myself to do this in 2025. I love an
Yay.
unsolicited letter. I've definitely never done that. I remember having pen pals in school, and I
Yeah.
actually loved that. It was so fun. So I like the idea, but I've never like actually sent one in the mail like that.
I think it's really funny
Except
that
I
you
guess
said
to Angelo
uns
in like when
oh,
he's in training, but
true.
otherwise no.
I think it's funny you said unsolicited letter,
Yeah.
but I did do this. I wrote Kyle a letter for our 1 year wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
So our wedding day was so chaotic that we actually didn't get a chance to share vows with each other. We
Yeah.
didn't do the traditional ones. Like we just did like the traditional 15-minute cut it quick ceremony for
Right.
the wedding because it was a little rainy. And that's what I wanted. Honestly, I don't want to pour my heart out in front of a million people that don't
Yeah.
care. Like, I mean, not that you don't care, but I don't need to make you emotional for me to show my husband that I love him.
Mm-hmm.
So for our 1 year wedding anniversary, I wrote him like a page and a half of like what I would have said on
Yeah.
the
Oh, that's
day.
cute. I
It
love it.
was very cute. And it was nice because I did it without him knowing. And it
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
well, you're not like expecting me
Yeah.
to give you my love right now
Yeah.
necessarily.
An unsolicited letter.
Yeah. Next, we have see your favorite band live. And no, it sounds amazing to hear in your car stereo or a vinyl record, but there is something magical about hearing your favorite song performed live and in person. And it says, now I'm curious. You should comment with your, oh, never mind. That's just something that the article said. It says, comment your favorite band or concert you've ever been
You
to.
guys can tell us if you have your favorite band or
Yeah.
concert. You can comment that.
I said, I haven't seen my favorite band, but I have seen my favorite music artist, Post Malone. I've seen him 3 times
Love.
and I'm going to see him a fourth time this year.
Okay, I did something crazy, as you can
I
see.
see.
I said I've seen tons of my favorites live. I don't even have a favorite band that I could name to you guys because I just feel like I can't pick a favorite. I can't. So I added my concert list in here because why not? I've written down every concert ever, so I thought I would speed run and tell you guys the concerts I've seen as early as I can remember them, which is 2007. So Rodney Atkins, Grace and Chance with Cody Simpson. That's such like a
That's
little
insane.
little time, like that was the shit. Winter Jam, which was like a big Christian concert thing. Sabrina Carpenter back in 2015. Okay, so you guys know emoji, I swear. Yes,
I was at Winter Gym in 2013.
you did not. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wait, I love that for us. It's such a like moment in time. I feel like I went once or twice and it was just a thing. I don't even remember who
Uh-huh.
was there or anything,
Me
but
neither.
G-Eazy, Logic, YG, and Yo Gotti. Aloe Black. I met him and gave him a full tour of Cedar Point and LeBron James. I met LeBron James in that time. So that's a whole other story we might have to get into someday. I know. Luke Bryan, Zed, Max, Clubhouse, Amine, Young the Giant, Uverse Yesterday, Taylor Swift, Beyonce and Jay-Z, Max, Toby Keith, Jimmy Allen, Max, meet and greet. So I got to meet him. Quinn 92, Max, Hoodie Allen, Phineas, MGK, Avril Lavigne, Willow, Trippy Red, Travis Barker, Max again with Vincent, Sabrina Carpenter with Blue to Tiger, Eras Tour. So Taylor Swift, Gracie Abrams, and Muna. And then Martina McBride with Harper Grace, Bailey Zimmerman with Ernest Hardy and Morgan Wallen. Bad Bad Bollocks, Pennywise and the Dropkick Murphys in Boston, Hardy, Kip Moore, Travis Denning, Kenny Chesney, Megan Maroney, and Uncle Cracker, and then Sabrina Carpenter with opener Amare. I think Amare. I don't know. Phew, that's my concerts list. I've been to a lot
That's
of shows.
crazy.
I never really thought I was a big show person until I made the list and I was like, holy shit, I guess I really like a concert. But
Hmm.
they're a very diverse group of people. Like I really have a lot of different artists on there.
Yeah. Next, we have Sleep Under the Stars. Have a partner, grab a bottle of wine, snuggle up under a cozy blanket, and enjoy the beauty. If you want to get frisky before you turn in for the night, I won't
Oh,
stop you. No partner.
okay.
Who needs a stinking partner? Lay down and think about how insignificant you are in the grand scheme of things.
Jesus.
Wonder how many other people are staring at the very same constellations you are.
This is one of the ones I read and I was like, what the hell? This
I
is like
know.
weird.
She
Um,
said, get frisky.
yeah. Do you want to go first on this one? I kind
Sure.
of copied you.
I've only been camping once as an adult. I went
Yeah.
when me and Kyle went skydiving together, we went camping and we stayed in a tent like outside of like the like landing strip of where we went skydiving.
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
it's really fun. I love camping, but Kyle's not a big
Yeah.
outdoorsy guy.
Oh, wait, that's sad. I guess I never realized that about Kyle. I mean, I guess that could make sense, but in a way, I also am surprised by that.
He doesn't love being outside.
Yeah. Wait, we should go camping. I love that.
I would love.
I we should do that. I think that'd be fun. We could have a little girls camping trip.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun bachelorette.
Mm.
Just saying.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've gone camping a lot in my life, like growing up. I don't know if I mean, as an adult, I've done it with my family still. Like I've done camping with my family, but I've never really gone on my own. I don't even have camping supplies. Would love to. But I've never actually slept fully outside. Have you? I was kind of wondering, like, some people will sleep like in a hammock. I've never done that. I've always been in a
When
tent.
I was growing up and it was like summertime, so we were taking a break from school. At
Yeah.
least once a week, I would make my mom sleep outside on the trampoline with
Stop.
me.
Oh my gosh, wait, that's adorable. That's so cool. I've never done that.
I would do it all the time when I was a kid.
That's cute.
I'd be like,
Love.
"Can we just go sleep on the trampoline?" And she said,
Ah,
"Yeah."
that's so nice. That's cute.
Next, we have perform for a crowd. It says find a local community theater and audition to become a cast member. Take a few shots of liquid encouragement and perform
Ah!
your favorite song at your favorite bar's karaoke
Oh
hours.
God.
Visit an open mic night at a clubhouse and perform stand-up comedy or poetry. Join a Toastmasters club and work on your speaking skills. You'll develop swagger and confidence like no other, and it'll be fun, I
I
promise.
never even read that fully, but that's funny. Okay. I wrote I'm a performer at heart. Maybe this is surprising because I feel like I'm kind of known to be shy, but even though I lack anything remotely close to a singing voice, I've always thrived dancing for an audience. So I feel like I would always like have my best skills and do my best time of doing a dance when it was on stage. I feel like I really put my heart into it. I really performed. I really wanted to convey it, and that always like was my best performance. So I danced for like regular recitals, competitive like competitions, performances, and I even danced in some school talent shows, which blows my mind because I was really shy. But if I could convince enough of my friends to do it, I would do it. So even though I was immensely shy and I never talked a lot, I feel like dance was the way I was expressing myself. So now that I'm older and less shy, I obviously love doing YouTube and my podcast and like relating to others online, which I kind of copied from Marissa's answer. So I'll let her get more into it. But
Yeah,
now I don't shut up.
I just said the podcast. I feel like it
Yeah,
does count as performing for an
for
audience.
sure. It's a performing art. We're giving you a show. Hello.
Yeah, of course. We have take a road trip with your best friend or partner, get outside of your comfort zone of your hometown and go exploring. Oh, my throat just made a weird noise. Sorry, guys.
Ooh.
Going on an adventure with the person you care about most will help you grow closer together. Experience new things together will cause you to learn new things about each other, developing positive memories that will last a lifetime.
This just makes me feel that maybe my birthday episode should be all the crazy stories of my life that you guys don't know because there are so many. But Angela and I actually did a road trip our freshman year of college with all our like closest friends, and it was literally insane. We drove, it took us 24 hours. We drove it straight, no stopping, through the night to Miami Beach, Florida for like our first ever college spring break. We're like, we're going to Miami. It was so stressful. It was fun. And I said, it's such a big memory. I said, a lot of my memories of this trip are actually really bad ones, but it's also a crazy story to tell, which I think is fun. We got pulled over. The door of our car completely fell off. We had to ratchet strap it back on. We got searched for drugs, all patted down. They had to call in women officers to pat down the women. We did not have drugs. Spoiler. Like, we did not get in
Yeah.
trouble for that, but there were tickets involved, like lots of stuff. And it was just like a crazy spring break, like in the movies. So I feel like
Yeah.
I just can't wait until Angela and I can get to road trip more together and have like a less stressful but still really fun time. But yeah, I feel like in this episode I've dropped so many bombs of random stories that just I remember them and I'm like, that's my life. It's so weird. So that's a story for another day. Maybe my birthday episode. We'll see.
Yeah. Mine is I love a road trip. Me and Kyle went on one, and
Yes.
it's honestly I would love to say that like our honeymoon was our my favorite trip together, but I
Yeah.
honestly think that this road
I
trip was our favorite
love
my
that.
favorite trip together because it was the first trip that we went on that was
Oh yeah.
long. We didn't plan anything until we were on the road to the next destination. We knew the
Wow.
approximate places we wanted to go, and I feel like that's the way to do it. And I feel like
Yeah.
we knew where we wanted to go, but we didn't know what to do until we got there or we were on our way there. And that was so refreshing,
It's fun.
especially as somebody that likes to plan things.
Yeah.
And it was really nice because Kyle didn't let me. He was like,
Yeah.
let us live, let us do this. And then once we get there, we can figure out what we're gonna do. And I would absolutely do it again. I love a road trip.
That's so fun. I need to do that. I need to let go of the planning. I feel like that would make a big difference.
Hmm. Next, we have start a garden. So whether you want to grow tasty veggies or colorful flowers is up to you. Unleash your inner green thumb and let it take you where it will.
I wrote ugh, big ugh, because if you know me, you know this is my dream, but it's not so easy where we currently live. We live in a condo and it's just like a really small space. So we do have a garden at our house, like in our little driveway, and we started it a few years ago, and now it's thriving, like it does its own thing because we used perennials, so they just come back every year and I don't have to do any work on it, which is like the best thing ever. So they just grow and it's so pretty. There's lots of flowers and stuff. And then I wrote I have a lot of indoor plants and they are doing exceptionally well. It's very surprising. I used to be a plant killer and I've really grown. But all things considered, I wrote in 2025 we really want to buy a house with land and build our own produce garden. Like we have a dream to like consume food that we grow ourselves. So we really want to start a garden like onions and potatoes and like stuff that we use a lot. It'd be so cool to grow it, but we really don't have like the space to make it how we want it yet. So we'll see.
I think it's really funny that you said that because I actually hate gardening and it's my worst nightmare to have something that I would have to spend that much time and
Yeah,
energy doing because I think it's a waste of time in
I'm
general.
crying.
Not if you're good at it, but
Yeah,
I also don't care to be good at it, so I would
right.
never.
It's not, yeah, it's just not your thing to do.
I've never like even when I was younger, my mom would make me help like with her
I'm
plants and
crying.
stuff and make me
Yeah,
like pick weeds and it was the I hated it. I would scream, I would cry. I
yeah.
hate doing
Oh my
it.
gosh.
But I do have a few indoor plants that are doing well.
That's
I
funny.
just I would literally rather I would rather
Buy
do
a car.
anything other than
I'm
garden. It
crying.
sounds horrible to me,
That's funny.
but teach their own.
Yeah, of course.
Next, we have find your passion. The teenage years and even in the early 20s are a confusing time, and most of us don't have anything figured out. But as the years go by, you should grow a sense of purpose, figure out what you want to be remembered for, and make it happen.
I wrote ugh again. I wrote the same thing. You guys know my word of 2024 was passion. That was one of my words. And I think I struggled with it a little bit. And I feel like I have lots of little passions. So I wrote like travel, photography, dance, video filming, and editing, like hand lettering, creative things, cooking, etc. I have tons of those things. And those are things I love. And like they make me feel really good. And I know I've said it before, but I will say it again. I feel like being a mom is actually something I feel on my heart that's like, I feel like that's like my true calling, quote unquote, or like when people talk about their calling in life, I just feel like that all the time, which I also think is silly. Like it can sound silly for someone who's never had kids to say that. I can't explain it. I just feel it. It's just like that's what I think my life purpose is. I really do. So it's just such a weird thing because it's like I don't want that yet. So what am I doing in the meantime that's like making me fulfilled? I don't know. All my little things, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think find your passion is a constant struggle for me for now.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know.
And I feel like a lot of people that do have that inherent desire to be a parent feel
Yeah.
that way too. But I think sometimes that gets the best of them and they have kids when they're not prepared. But you being such a
Yes.
reasonable and like
Yeah.
not unreasonable because I don't want to say they're
Right.
unreasonable, but somebody that's so grounded and like understands that other things
The
need to come
responsibility of it.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a
Yeah.
very responsible person and you're with a very responsible partner, so
True.
you know that like
Yep.
you have other
Things
responsibilities
to
you
do.
have to do
It's
first.
so true. And I think that's what makes it so hard because I'm like, I would have had a
You
kid
feel
like
like you're
five
wasting
years
your
ago. If
time
I,
waiting for
yes,
this.
yes, I'm like, I would have had my kid 5 years ago if I could have, but I know that like they cost money. They take
Hmm.
responsibility. I need a bigger house. Like there's just different things that have to come first and they have to come. I'm also like, I kind of want to do van life still. Like I want to do van life
Hmm.
first. So it's just so hard because it does almost feel like a waste of time. So that's, I think, why I made that my word last year because I was like, I need to find passion somewhere else. And I do, but it's just, I don't know. It's like almost like how people are like, oh, I could feel it in my heart. Like my life calling was to become a doctor. And then they become a doctor and it feels really good. I'm like, that's how I feel. But I'm just like, I need to find something else. So it's just a struggle, I think.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about career, I feel like I'm in the right career for like
Yeah,
my passions because
that's amazing.
I just have such a passion for justice, and
Yeah.
I feel like you've even said that to me in a previous
Yes.
episode when I was talking about forensic science. You were like, you are so passionate about justice for these
Yeah.
people and like being on the right side of like history in my own
Yeah.
opinion. I feel like
In a
I
way, you're an
think
advocate for victims.
I mean, I'm the advocate for the
Yeah.
nameless because
Yeah.
they can't speak for themselves most
Yep.
oftentimes. 1 in 4 women have been sexually assaulted in their lives, and you don't
Yeah.
even know who they are because they
Yeah.
won't talk about it.
Yeah.
So I have a passion for that. I have a passion for fitness.
Yes. That's so true.
Was talking about, I do all of these different exercises, and it's because
Yeah.
I tell people all the time at work, if I didn't do this, I would go insane. Like if I
Yeah.
was just sitting at home and I was being stagnant, I would
Hmm.
go bonkers
I
and
feel
I
like you can
can't.
see how it energizes you. I feel like we, like outsiders, can actually see how much it energizes you to be so like into fitness and like have your diverse portfolio of
Hmm.
activities because you're always excited about it. I feel like you have the opportunity to like switch to a new activity. You're like, wait, now I'm really excited about this.
Like I literally have like I this is something that I used to like think about a lot when I was going into college. Like I was like
Yeah,
I'm so passionate about so many things. I don't know where to direct my
I did that
attention.
too. Yeah,
And like I really want to like I love fitness so much that I thought about becoming like a personal trainer and like I still
right.
think about that, but I think that I would lose the passion that I have for working out if I made it a
The
job.
fun. Yeah, yeah,
And I like while I think that it'd be a really fun side activity, like I like also not having to lead people in it because I'm a
yeah,
leader in my own career. So I feel like I don't want to do that for something that I find happiness in. And like
right.
I've been the person that didn't work out. Like when I was during COVID, like 2020 to 2022,
Hmm.
mostly, like even till I graduated college, I was much less regimented in what I do. And I was
Yeah,
actually talking to my friend Owen yesterday, and I was like, it probably sounds crazy to people, but on Friday, for example, I had to work earlier in the day and I knew I
yeah.
wasn't going to be able to work out after work. And I feel so motivated right now that I was genuinely sad if I wasn't going to work out that day.
Dang.
So I woke
Yeah,
up at 5 a.m. and did a workout before I went to work. And
it's
like
so impressive,
some
honestly.
people probably think of that as like insane. Like, of course, just sleep in. You're going to work earlier than
Hmm.
you normally would. Like, you're having a date night. Like, just relax. And I'm like,
But it
but I
makes you feel good.
find joy in it. And if
Yeah,
I didn't that day, I would have been like, well, I really wish I would have gotten my energy out somewhere else. And like,
yeah,
I feel like I would have like wasted a part of my day if I just
yeah.
sat, didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's good that you know that about yourself too. There's like a point of self-awareness that you can, you know that that's what you need so you can cater to it
Yeah.
in a
And
way.
I was literally talking to my mom about this today. I don't work out for the way that I look. I work out for the way that my brain
Right.
feels.
Yeah.
Like the moment that I think that I need to lose weight, I'm probably going to stop working out because I don't
Yeah.
want it
You
to
know
become an
you're in the
unhealthy
wrong place.
obsession. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
I'm
true.
out there because I want to be 80 years old and I want to be able to climb up a mountain. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to be 60 years old and struggling to breathe to get up the steps.
Yeah. No, I
That's
totally agree. That's
I've
kind of what's been kicking me in the ass, to be honest with you, because I
yeah.
have no passion for it. I don't love it, most of it. But it's the longevity and it's the I want to live a long time and I want to meet my great grandkids that kicks me in the ass and is like, okay, then you need to work on it. Like you got to get
Yeah.
going. So
And I don't have good genes in my family. Like my family is very
same.
sick and
Yep.
like
Yep. My
I
family's very overweight. Like
yeah, I
a
have
lot
a
of them
long
are
history
overweight
of
and
diabetes,
yep, same.
obesity. I have a long
Scary.
history of heart disease. My grandma died
Yep.
of congestive heart failure at
So did
75 years old.
mine
Like,
died of congestive heart failure in her mid 60s. Same.
Really?
Like all the same things that you're listing. Yeah. So it is a little bit scary. It's like you got to be serious about these things sometimes.
Yeah, and
Well, true.
if I don't have a passion for being skinny, like I'm not
Right.
skinny. Like I'm a smaller person, but I'm not skinny. I'm a very
Yeah.
like stocky build of a person. So of course I don't have a passion to be skinny, but I have a passion to be healthy for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And being strong never hurts. Like there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, I want to be able to lift this by myself. Like I don't want to have to ask for help all the time. And so the strength aspect too. Oh, and I don't want to break my bones all the time. That too. Like there's a lot
Exactly.
of strength aspects that I'm like, okay, I really need to get in gear. So
Yeah, but
makes
while
sense.
I'm doing all of this, I also want to prioritize that in my mental health as well, because that
Yeah.
is something that I have honestly forgotten about since I was a kid. I
Yeah.
never prioritized it. I never cared about
Mm-mm.
it. And it's really affecting like some of the ways that I have conversations. And
Yeah.
I'm noticing that I'm not maybe as confident in those aspects of my life. And that
Mm-hmm.
hurts me. And I don't want to be like that. And like, I
Yeah.
realize like sometimes if me and Kyle have like a difficult conversation, I might cower away because I don't want to have it. And it's
Yeah.
going to like ruin our relationship if I don't have the
Yeah.
conversation, but it's definitely going to make things a lot easier
Mm-hmm.
if I can be open and honest with myself and other people.
Yup. I feel that like mic drop moment. I feel that so heavy. And I feel like the same way when Ansel and I have a convo that I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it. So how about we just like forget about it? And he's like, no, we need to
That's
talk about it. It's only
unhelpful.
gonna get
So
worse
unhelpful.
unless you like talk about it and work through it. And so I think that's really hard and probably something that a lot of people deal with is I would like I said, my family's very unemotional too. So I feel like I grew up not talking about stuff, not having feelings about stuff. If I do have feelings, it's like cry alone in your room and then like come back and we'll move on with life. So there's all these learned things too that it's like, all right, we got to figure out how we're gonna not keep doing that, which is really
Exactly.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode was so deep and so
I
cute.
know.
I love
I'm
it.
glad that it got us like chatting a bit. And I was gonna have us put our totals, but I feel like we had something to say for like all of them.
That's what I was gonna say.
So
I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't really have one that I feel like I didn't do. I feel like we had a little snippet for everything.
I agree. But we did it.
I
I'm gonna be
love it.
25.
She's gonna be 25. I know. I was like, wait, I'm gonna turn 27 this year. That's so wild. I just
I
like
know.
time flies. I'm just like, it's so strange. I
It
don't
is very
know.
strange.
Um, yeah, but that's exciting. I loved this theme for this episode, and I'm really thinking maybe my birthday episode will just be a fun stories episode of all my
Yeah.
life stories. I think I'm gonna have
Erica's
to do
story
that.
time.
Erica's story time.
You
Tell you guys
should
about my
write, like, you
past.
should think about a bunch of stories that you have in your life and then
Yeah,
put them into a hat or like assign them numbers. Then I'll pick a number and then you have to tell me.
love. Okay, I love that. I'm definitely gonna put that in the calendar right after this. I don't forget.
Okay.
Because I love it. But I guess one thing we should say, you guys, is happy 98th episode. Our 100th episode is approaching rapidly, and Marissa's bringing us a surprise topic for that. So I'm really excited. I
I'm
can't
so
wait.
excited. I
It's going to
almost
be cool.
accidentally planned it for my birthday episode because it's something that I really want to talk about and I want to learn
Yeah.
more about. And I haven't done the research yet because
Yeah.
it's something that I want to research and I want to learn about before I bring it to
Yes.
the audience. So it's probably going to be another research heavy episode, but it is
Love.
going to be exciting because it's a surprise for Erica and for
Yes.
everybody else. I'm going to have to hide all of my notes in a separate document so she
I
can't see
know.
them.
I have a surprise topic too that I'm like, it's actually like eating my insides. I'm
What if
so
we
excited about
accidentally
it.
pick the same thing, but mine comes out first so you can't do it?
I would be sad, but I doubt it. I feel like it's really, really random. It's something Angela's never even heard of, which I was surprised
Oh,
by. But it's something that, yeah, that's all I'm saying. But
okay.
stay
It
tuned,
makes
you
me nervous
guys.
that it's the same.
No, I think it won't be, but we'll see. We'll see. If
Okay.
so, it's okay. We'll just both be excited.
I know.
So yeah, stay tuned. Next week's our 99th episode. We're bringing you a new guest interview. This is a family member guest, but kind of extended family. So it's kind of fun. It's
Yeah,
not someone we talk about. You guys don't know her. It's a her.
it's a
Surprise.
her.
You guys don't know her, so that'll be fun. That's 99. And then 100 is a surprise topic and a big milestone for us. And then it
Yes.
will be moving on to our book club and a couple other episodes. So a quick plug if you want to read the book with us. We already have two people in our life that we know are reading the book. So shout out to Vernita and Natalie. Vernita finished the book. Natalie hasn't started. Neither have I. So we have like half and half. Half of us have finished, half of
Yeah.
us have not. But we are reading The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, which I've only heard good things about from social media and then from Marissa and then from Vernita. So I'm like, okay, it
Yes.
has to be good. I can't
And
wait to
I'm
start.
reading the whole series before we even record the
Yes.
book club for the first one, which Erica thinks is a good idea for perspective. I just
Yes.
couldn't stop reading it.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm like, okay, great. Then you can tell us about it, and also
Yeah.
she can kind of give us a little like, is it worth it, and which one's the best kind of thing. So it'll be fun. So if you guys want to read the book, start now because you
Mhm.
only have like 2 or 3 more weeks until the episode comes out. But yeah, you guys can read it and join the discussion, which will be fun.
Yeah.
I think that's it. We've been talking for a shit ton of a long time
Hmm.
today, so So we got to go. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram at We Run on Coffee. Hit us up on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, We Run on Coffee. All the places that you find your podcasts. Follow us, download us, whatever you got to do. Please do it. It helps us so much.
Yeah.
That's all. Mic drop.
Bye.
See you later. Bye. And with that, I'm Arika.
And I'm Marissa. And we run on coffee.